Hello, everybody. Welcome in. I'm going to be finishing up this thing that we were spinning earlier. I'm not totally sure about the lighting. Hopefully it's okay. A little bit of weird lighting. So we were not planning on spinning the entirety of that big roller on stream yesterday, but it was just so engaging that it happened anyway. Because I was having so much fun with it, and I just could not get myself to stop. So today we're going to be playing it, and depending on how long that is, we may or may not also start something else. Probably, ideally, the cotton. At the moment, I think I need to take this soap off. The plan with this silk high jump was to basically two-ply it. I don't know if that'll happen because as I'm trying to unwind it, I'm finding it is breaking a bit. But also, maybe that was just the ends. This part seems to be behaving a bit better. We'll see. I'm curious. So we're gonna two-play this if possible, and if once we do that, then we'll change the rest of it. So that'll be. It'll turn out well. I'm really excited to see how this round turns out. It's going to be awesome. But you don't know till it's done, right? So, yeah, very excited. Let's see. All right. Snap that. That'll stay there. This is my first time ever spinning in a tiny, tiny test bit of this silk oil, by the way. I got it quite a while ago, and it was so difficult to work with that I kind of just I've used it a tiny bit in blends, and that is it. But it turns out that it cards really well on my cotton carders, which makes sense. And yeah, actually spun a decent amount of this until it just sort of stopped, stopped holding together. I'm not really sure why that happened, but since it did, there we go. Since it did, we stopped there. So let's see how it looks. 5. I'm getting the feeling that I underspun it, even though I was going at the highest whirl, which is a little bit of a disappointment, but I mean, good to know for the future. Much better to find out that I was underplying it now than if I were to try and do some big project and have to go back and rumble through the wheel again. I've done that before, and it kind of sucks. All right, give me a second to try this on. My mouth is a third hand. Okay. I did pull this off, and I'm two-plying it because I I didn't think it would be possible to to chain ply it because it's so like lumpy. So this is not going to be part of this game. It's just I got distracted near the end, and I also didn't really want to stop. So yeah, this is separate, and I did in fact pull it off already. Like it's not attached. So all right. You know, it's plying up really well. I'm curious how something like this would wear. I have no idea. Like, are the lumps just going to come out and leave it gappy, and then it's no good, or what? So soft. There's something about silk that is just always feels so luxurious to me, even though this is like a silk waste product, really. The silk oil, it's still just so beautiful. Oh, interesting. It's got a fair amount of elasticity, which I wouldn't necessarily have guessed. I don't spin silk very often, as you can probably. It's just I've always wanted to get into it and never quite had the time. You know how it is. Just there's so many fibers to spin. And they're all so interesting, so I just always end up doing that. Like doing whatever catches my fancy. I'm glad I've at least learned to spin cotton because that one was on the books for a while. All right, so now I'm just gonna sort of see if I can sort of seamlessly attach this in. Starting chain plying can be really annoying, and I've sort of found this way that I can avoid it, like avoid the annoyingness. Hello, Ciaro, welcome in. You love silk? I love silk too. I don't know how to spin it, but maybe one day I will learn. Ah, this is also not going very well. Mostly because I didn't leave myself enough room. Hang on. I know exactly what I need to do. Operating at the moment. Give me a second and they should. Okay. Got this. We're going to hold that alongside. Nope. Don't do that. Okay. I think we got it. I don't know how this stuff is going to chain play either, to be honest. Because it's like, I mean, it's not as lumpy and bumpy as the silk is, but it's pretty lumpy and bumpy. So I don't know. But we've got a lot of time today, so no matter how it turns out, I'm sure it'll be interesting. I don't mind spending a long time plying it. You don't know how to spin it either. That is fair. Okay. I think we need higher tension and to switch. It's not really cooperating today. Like everything I've done so far with my wheel, I feel like I've been fighting it a little bit. My only idea at the moment is because I'm using my left leg, which I almost never use when spinning, because it's my worst leg anyway. So maybe if I switch to my right leg, it'll start cooperating. I don't know. Oh, this is really enjoyable. The colors, like watching the colors just appear one after the next is really fun. I can tell I'm gonna really like using this yarn. I am, as predicted, running into some issues with the bumpiness of the silk and the other things, but that's fine. All it does really is slow down the plying. It doesn't like make it impossible or anything like that. I don't even think it makes it messy, really. It really is just a bit of a slowdown, and that's it. Okay, what was that? Oh, I see. It sort of just snapped on me. I anticipate that happening a couple more times. I have a feeling, because there were definitely spots where I let it run a little bit too thin. And like, yes, it was fine to bobbin, but this is sort of different tension. And it's also friction as well. And so things sometimes survive going onto the bobbin, but then don't survive chain ply. And I feel like I'm going to run into a fair amount of that, but that's okay. It's all fixable. It's not too bad. Unrelated, but I finished mordanting those cotton skeins that we spun, and they're currently just sort of sitting and waiting for the dye. I started cooking my Oregon grapes, and I realized I don't have anywhere near enough. I don't know why I thought I did. Maybe I can get away with dyeing the smallest skein, potentially, with what I have. I think it's going to be really light, which is fine. I can always over dye it. They're abundant here. I can certainly get more. But yeah, for some reason I was thinking, oh, I'll dye all 3 of these. No, no way. But way too little. Way too little. That does mean that I can maybe use up the avocado pits and peels that have been sitting on my windowsill drying for a little while, like a month now. Probably use those up. And I could maybe start using up some of my onions too. I don't know what I'm saving them for, but I'm definitely saving them for something. So, you know about things breaking with chain ply? Oh yeah. I feel like it's not possible to learn chain ply and not experience that at some point. Like it happens. It's the name of the game in some ways. This is not cooperating at all. I think we'll be able to finish, but I don't know why it's not cooperating. It might actually just be my knee, because it feels kind of weak, but even so, I feel like I should be able to. Maybe I don't have this correct. No, I do. Sometimes what I accidentally do is I don't have the drive band seated in the right, or the tension band, brake band seated in the right spot, but I do. It's just not helping. But at least I checked that. But like you see there, when I reach the top, like when I'm treadling, when the footman reaches the top, if I haven't already built up some momentum, I kind of just stop, which is not typically what happens. So it might just be because I'm on the smallest wheel. This wheel really was not designed to be used on the smallest wheel, which is quite frustrating. It tends to cause all sorts of problems, so it could be that. We'll see when I switch to a different oil at some point if it gets better. But I guess I've been spinning all this cotton on the smallest oil too. And I applied it on that as well, so I don't know. It might be on this setting for a while. But yeah, I'm excited to see how this stuff dies up. Now that I know not to make the horrible mistake of adding iron, at least as a fiber, and now that I know I have to dye it as yarn, it'll be a little better. I'm really loving this yarn, by the way. It's so pretty. It's going to be such a good bag. And it feels like quite robust. Robust and well twisted, which I was a little concerned about, so I'm glad it's worked out. I am anticipating that we're going to run out of things to fly pretty quickly. So I'm eyeing my cotton. I think maybe we could get started again. If nothing else, I need to make a whole bunch more goodies, so I could get started on that. Not sure. We'll see. This is so enjoyable. It's so like meditative and nice. Sometimes I don't enjoy chain flying because it feels a little bit too involved. And other times it's like anything that isn't chain flying just feels like nothing. This is one of those times when I'm really enjoying it. I think the beautiful color progression helps with enjoyment. If you try chain flying something that's just like the same color all the way through, it's not very fun, or at least I don't find it very fun. But something like this, where you're chain flying it to preserve the colors, it's really good. You've been making a bunch of cotton poonies today. You want to have a bunch to spin for TDF. Oh, hell yeah. That reminds me, TDF is coming up. That's really exciting. I cannot wait. I'm hoping for TDF that I'll be able to spin every day, like stream every day, and just, see what we can do. And that's the plan. So maybe we can spin some cotton together. That would be fun. Yeah, that's exciting. TDF always sneaks up on me because I feel like the late spring, early summer thing just passes so quickly. And this year has also passed so quickly. And also, I kind of lose track of what order the months come in pretty quickly. Like after February, I'm like, I don't know anymore. I only remembered those two. So I always forget July comes after June. And it sneaks up on me. Very exciting. You've never done it before, you want to try it to get really good at cotton. Nice. TDF is so enjoyable, or at least I find it so enjoyable. Like it's a very motivating way of spinning. And I used TDF a couple of years ago to spin up all that flax for my linen summer blanket, and it worked. I know how to spin flax now. So yeah, I think it is a pretty good way to sort of teach yourself a certain fiber as well. At least it was for me. I don't know what I'm going to spin for TDF. I guess it sort of depends on where I'm at with the blanket. I would like to just sort of try and use up as much of the wool I have as possible. Just do some volume spinning so that we can get out of the way. But I don't know, if I'm still working on the cotton summer blanket. I hope not, though. I mean, I got that first skein done. Like, if I hadn't had a huge break in the middle due to super fucking up my leg, if I hadn't had that huge break, I feel like I would have finished it like finished the first batch in less than a week pretty easily. And even accounting for the wool interlude too. So if I can not get injured again, which sounds unlikely, but you know, if I can manage that, then I think I might be able to get it all done if I try very hard. To get it all done before the meeting. I think that's the goal, actually. We want to try and do that. We're almost done. It's actually kind of sad because I'm enjoying this. I think I probably could have, and maybe should have, spun it on the medium wool, because then I could have spent a little bit more time looking at it. Whereas at the moment, I'm zipping through it so fast that I'm barely getting to see each color. And that, I think, was a mistake. Just from an enjoyment perspective, not from a functional perspective at all. But I noted for next time, I think. Like next time I want to take it slower. Okay. It did break again, but that's actually only twice so far. So that's way better than I thought because we're basically done. There's just a tiny bit left on there. So yeah, that's actually that's good because I was worried that there were sections where I let my twist get way way too loose, I guess, or just not enough twist. But I guess not. Like I think we're good because this all has worked out pretty well. It's always disappointing when plying goes too fast. Yeah, agreed. There's the occasional time when I really wish plying would go faster, but for the most part, it's so chill and enjoyable that I don't want it to stop. And it's also like, you know, it's sort of when you get to experience finishing everything. You know, like you've spent possibly weeks carding or combing and spinning and all that, and then you finally, like once you've applied it, that's your end product. It's finally yarn, and it's so exciting, like the culmination of all your efforts. So I definitely get a bit of a dopamine hit from that. All right, let's do it. Okay. Oh, I'm so excited to see what this looks like on the Niddy Noddy. Let's see. You think you see Chuck? Indeed. There she is. Top right. Hey, Chuck. Baby girl. Yeah. She has to supervise. She's like, I don't know what the fuck you think you're doing, but you're certainly not doing it without me. That would be crazy. Which is true. I would never spin without Chuck. She would never let me. I really love how engaged she is in my fiber arts. I mean, sometimes it can be really annoying because she gets in the way a lot. She thinks that I can pet her and knit at the same time, which sadly is not true. So she does get in the way, but she also she enjoys it so much. She always wants to hang out with me when I'm doing it, and she loves wool as well. Oh, by the way, look. Yeah, you can kind of see it. Yeah, it's pretty. I know she loves wool because she eats it constantly. She steals it to eat it. I mean, I try not to let her actually eat any, but she certainly tries. So I know she loves wool and she's very interested in it. And I think like she just likes to hang out with me while I do it. It's very sweet. Okay. I will say my back is absolutely killing me today. And this very unsupportive chair that does not have enough of a back and has no neck support is not doing me any favors. So I may just, I don't know, I may change things up from the usual way that I operate to sort of help with that. And we may not do a super long stream. Let's see how long I can last with that. I do wish I had a better chair, but it's, I don't know, it's sort of hard because the spinning wheel is at a fixed height, right? So if the chair is at the wrong height, which many of them are, you cannot use it to spin, and that just sort of rules out like the vast majority of chairs that I've encountered anyway. So like if I could design my own spinning wheel from scratch, I would make one that was a hell of a lot taller. And ideally that had like a treadle that was higher as well. Okay, we did it. Very, very pretty. Right, that's one. And two cans. Probably shouldn't count these silk ones because I will remove. So 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24, 26, 27. So that's 58 yards. That's not bad. That's more than I expected from a 3-ply. That means that we started out with like over 150 length of singles. So unsurprisingly, this is this has a lot of twist in there. Look at that. But it's so pretty. I have to take some pictures for sure with my actual camera. Hang on. I think you can get a pretty good idea of how like wild and crazy it is. It is mostly blue, which I think is very pretty, but then there's all these little extra bits. So I think I'm probably going to, I don't usually do this, but I think I am probably going to like weight it down while it's drying, after, like, you know, when I'm blocking it, just so that it's a little bit easier to work with. Because I've noticed, I was trying to work with a scheme that was over twisted in it, about this amount of over twist in there. And it was kind of a nightmare. It would just kink up as I worked with it. So in the interest of mitigating that, yeah, I'll probably hang it to dry with like my picture underneath it or something. I'm gonna grab the cotton and I think we'll get started on that. All right. My HEPA filter has not yet arrived, so we'll have to continue breathing in cotton fibers until it arrives, which I think is supposed to be sometime in this upcoming week, hopefully soon. I really needed one and kind of just forgot / didn't remember, or no, didn't notice I needed one. But my sister pointed out, and it was like, oh my God, yes, I do. So I think the cotton is actually a majority of the issue for why I need one, because it was fine before I carded all of this cotton, and then afterward, my sister started having breathing problems when she came in, like she'd just be sneezing nonstop. So, or respiratory problems, I guess is the correct terms, which makes sense because I have added in a large amount of cotton to the air in here, as one does. So, wow, I forgot how nice this is. It's really nice to work with. I'm planning to use it for a blanket. Yeah, the wool is for a bag. The cotton is for the blanket. I don't know what I would do with a blanket that was made of yarn with that high of twist. I think it would be really unpleasant. Yeah, it's just going to be another little project bag, because I guess I just need an infinite number of those themes. The thing is, they're so enjoyable to make and to use, and they're really useful too, because I'll just have like one project bag for a project, and if I want to bring it to work, I just grab the bag. And then when I want to work on something else, I just put the bag aside, and that way I don't lose my needles or hooks. And I don't. The other thing is, I suffer from letting my projects fall on the floor and then they get covered in cat hair, and then I'm like, ugh, it looks gross, and then I frog it. that's happened like multiple times. And the yarn is still gross after I frog it too. It kind of stays gross until it's been washed. So I try to avoid that at all costs, and it seems that if I make a project bag for each thing, I'm a lot better about not doing that. The project bag might roll around on the ground, but that's a hell of a lot easier to get cat hair off of than yarn is. So we might just make a couple of these and spin them up and just sort of do it that way, or we might make a whole bunch in a row. I haven't decided yet. I'll probably try and make like 5 to 10 and see how we feel at that point. It doesn't seem worth the time, like the time that it takes from switching between one to the next, to just like make one puni and then spin it and then make another and then spin that. Because I feel like in the time that it takes to secure my yarn and then grab my stuff and then get ready to make another one, I could have already been halfway done with making one. So just in the interest of economy of time and effort, I will probably at least do like a few and then switch over. That's typically the minimum that I try and do. I'm very glad it's Friday. This was such an exhausting week. But I did apply Actually, at the same workplace, I did apply for a remote job, which I would love to get. It would be so nice to be able to work remote and not spend literally $100 a month on bus fares, which I do. So it would save me $1,200 a year just from bus fares. And it would save me so much time too, because the commute is really quite lengthy. And from what I've read about remote jobs, it like you can sort of zoom through all your tasks and then you know, live your life at your house. So I would really love that. Like I could literally just chill and knit afterwards. I mean, to be fair, I do that at work anyway, but it's not as comfortable because I'm at work. So I did spend most of the day today knitting a sweater at work and getting paid to do that. So that's always nice, but still could be improved. You might make some more too. Ooh, nice. Always fun. That would be great. You hope I get it. Thank you. Me too. There was another job that my boss explicitly recommended me for, and then I wasn't qualified because I didn't have quite enough experience in the field, like years of experience in the field. Um, and that one was also remote. So I'm a little bummed about that because I think it would have been a job that I would have enjoyed more. Because that one is more about referrals and referral coordination in a hospital setting, which I think is quite interesting. And I do a little bit of that in my current job. Whereas the other one that I applied for is for billing, which, I mean, I don't love that, but I do it for money. But yeah, I would have preferred not to. I would have preferred the other one, but that is okay. Hopefully, I get this one, and if I don't, maybe there's some other remote job. Like I don't. It's not that I want to keep working for my current company because I don't really. I don't like them. But the thing is, for one thing, I just switched insurance and I got insurance through work. So that would be a problem. And the other thing is, they have a really, like, if you stay there long enough, you start getting some really good benefits. And the long enough, like, kicks in around year 5 or 6, I think. I don't know if I would stay there that long or be alive that long, honestly. But, like, it'd be nice. I don't think I'm going to have the option to take a sabbatical otherwise at any point in my life. So who knows? I'd like to. And also, it's a hell of a lot easier in terms of like everything to get a new job at the same company than a new job at a different company. So yeah, we'll see. I just can't take my current job though, even though I get paid to knit sometimes. The rest of it is miserable. I don't enjoy it. So, okay, we've got 5, and I am feeling like I do not want to make any more ponies right now. So we're going to start spinning them. I wonder how out of practice I got. Hopefully, well, I guess I did on the last stream before I started, or before I finished plying this, or finished plying the last batch. I did spin 14 more. So, I guess I've spun cotton recently, but not that recently. Putting that over there for now. When did that happen? Gosh, there is so much cotton dust all over my spinning wheel. It's not good. I really need to clean that. Just remember to go the right way, you forget. Good reminder, thank you. Right, I'm going Samwise. I knew that. Thank you. Just, yeah, I forget too, because I sort of rely on it being automatic, because with wool, it has been for so long. And the vast majority of what I've spun is wool. So when I start a project, I automatically start spinning one way. And that has also gotten me in some trouble. The good news is I feel like as long as you notice quick-ish, like as long as you haven't gone too far, it's not impossible to go back and twist it the right way. It's, it's okay, but it is a bit of a pain, so it's certainly better to not. Okay. Maybe what I need to do is fix the drive band issue. The drive band issue is that this is not, well, there's a couple drive band issues. The main one is this is not quite tight enough. I would prefer it be a little bit more tensioned. The other drive band issue is the mother of all really doesn't move far enough over. Although now that I'm saying that, I'm realizing it can't be that difficult to add more space. That really should be doable. I would just need a power tool. It's the only thing, and I don't have that. But at the moment, I just have this folded up piece of paper basically underneath the peg that controls how far away the mother of all is. So that's a bit better. It could be better than that, but we'll leave it there. Spinning. Okay, this needs to be somewhere else. There's so many things about this wheel that it's like, if more care was paid, I think this would be a good wheel. But because so little care was paid to things like that, it is not. I would not classify it as a good wheel. It gets the job done, but it's not very good at it. There we go. Nope. I feel like I wasn't having all these tension problems earlier, like earlier in the week. But I don't know. I'm sure they'll work themselves out. They usually do. So I was doing a little bit of long draw with wool yarn, and I think like it makes sense. I feel like I finally got it, because the scope does actually seem to, and I wasn't sure that it would, but I was pretty happy with the long draw sections. I couldn't long draw much of it, just simply because most of it was like prepared a little bit too tightly, like a little bit too much tension. And so it didn't really want to come out easily enough. But the bits that did, I could long draw with no problems, and they were pretty neat. So that is exciting. Like, it's so much faster than drafting without long draw. So much faster and so much easier to do. Like, I can definitely see why people did it and did so much of it. Like, if you're spinning all your clothes, fuck yeah, you want to do long draw. Especially if you live in a cold climate, because it's going to be nice and fluffy and therefore warmer. So you don't necessarily have to make as many clothes. This is very uneven. I'm hoping that I'll get a bit more into the groove and stop it from being quite so uneven. I'm just having problems with it running a little bit too thin. I feel like that's a problem I've had this whole time, and I don't quite remember how I was mitigating that earlier. But I know it was. Oh, we'll see. Part of it, I think, is the tension is a little too high. So maybe if I just turn it down a smidge. Oh, also this should be moved up, shouldn't it? That's great. I can long draw wool now too. I know, right? I'm really excited. I want to like actually test it out. I just haven't had the chance. Like test it out on a bigger project, you know. But yeah, I haven't had the chance yet. But I figure, you know, a little bit more cotton practice is certainly not going to hurt. So I'll always come back to that later with a bit more skill. Yeah, I think turning down the tension that extra bit helped. Problem is you have to constantly readjust the tension, so it will not last for long. Okay, that was one Puni done. That's not bad. I kind of want to see if I can add a little bit more twist for this next batch, because I feel like that last batch, it was good. See, I already have to adjust the tension again. It was good, but it wasn't, it could have been more twisted. For spin twist, I think the fly twist, it was fine. But spin twist, it could have been a little bit more twisted, and I also wish it was thicker. No, I lost it. Oh well. So we're gonna see if it's possible to fix those issues. I don't know. I don't know if I can, because we've hit the point where I now feel like I have a similar amount of proficiency with cotton and wool, or at least I've cleared the beginner sort of hump, if you will. So it's hard at this point to fix and adjust what I know, because I've reached the point where I'm sort of spinning instinctually and without thinking about it. And so making changes when you're doing something instinctually and without thinking about it is actually not very easy. And most of the time I don't even remember I want to make these changes. So like I am trying to think, but the problem is my brain has simply, it decided a really long time ago that spinning is my zone out time. And even though I have, even though I can stream at the same time, I'm my brain isn't like on that much. It's on some, enough to read, and but the reasoning part is not really active, if that makes sense. Yeah. I think if we can at least get the first row done, and the first row of hooks all filled up, that would be a good stopping point. I don't know how long that'll take though. Maybe we'll have a little bit more. We'll see. I can spin one in the time it takes you to make two. Interesting. I don't know how long it takes me to make one, so maybe that is also true for me. I'm not sure. That sounds about right, though. I feel like that sounds about right, though. I feel like, at least for me with fiber prep, the prep takes um, the prep takes a little bit more. Well, actually, no. I guess that's the opposite of how it is for me. Usually, the prep takes longer than the spinning does. Although I suppose it does depend heavily on how thick I'm spinning. So maybe not. Actually, maybe I need to rethink all of that. I don't know. I I feel like I usually spin the same weight of stuff. Like, not exactly, but kind of pretty close anyway. There's definitely a weight that I end up spinning the most. And it's fairly close to this, not exactly. And then I tend to adjust for like the size that I want the yarn to be by adjusting the number of plies. Which I don't think that's how you're supposed to do it. But like I said, it's difficult for me to switch to a different weight, among other things. Like it's difficult to switch up pretty much anything about how I spin. So I don't know. I thought that I was going to be spinning this quite thick when I first started, and then of course that did not happen. Um, I ended up paring it down quite a bit. I guess I shouldn't be surprised. That happened with the linen too. I started out spinning it super, super thick, and then by the time I was done and comfortable with it, it was like the normal weight that I spin everything, which was actually pretty funny. Uh-oh. When I was making the big rolag um, for the spin that we just finished, I found a whole bunch. I found a whole bunch of really beautiful green wool that I really want to make another bat with, and then make a bag with that as well. Because I really like green, and it's pretty rough. I think it's Corridale, maybe like a rough Corridale. It's sort of what it feels like to me, but it could be any number of things. Um, and it would make such a good bag. I was really highly considering making another one like before I started this stream, and then being like, surprise, we'll interlude too. But I don't want to put off this cotton. I really, really want to make this cotton summer blanket so badly, and I want to make it before summer is over too. That's the goal. The knitting part is not going to take a long time, or at least it didn't with the others, so I don't think it will with this either. But the spinning and the fiber prep part, that takes a while. I must make them much faster. Probably. I did notice that the more I made them, the faster I got. And I think I've probably made more than you at this point. I've made about 150, maybe 200, if I had to guess. But one bobbin's worth was, I think, like 35-ish. Not exactly 35, but somewhere around there. And I did that 3 times, and then I did all the other ones as well. So, like all of the practice schemes. So we're definitely over 100, and I think we're maybe close to 200. Yeah, the more I made them, the faster I got, for sure. And I think part of it was like learning new techniques that were faster, like just rolling it along the cards instead of rolling it. What was I doing? I was rolling it between knitting needles to make a very tensioned pony. I don't know how you're doing it, but the rolling it along knitting needles thing definitely added like a good 20 to 30 seconds to each one, just because I was fiddling with the knitting needles. So. But yeah, I assume that you'll catch up, and will be about the same before that long if you're continuing making more. Well, I like when the bobbin makes that rattly noise. Of course, it just sort of reminds me of a crow rattle, which is one of my favorite noises ever. Just like a sweet noise. Yeah. Look at that. She's pushing the back down. Chuck, what are you doing? Oh, buddy. Staring off into the distance forlornly, as she is often wont to do. I think we have one puni left after the one that I just started, and I think we will probably call it there. My back is killing me. But I'm glad we got, we sort of broke into it. And the next one should be pretty easy. I don't know if I'll be skating tomorrow or not. Because I do have some stuff that is probably going to be pretty tiring. But I'm sure I will Sunday if I don't tomorrow. Hopefully. But either way, we still have a little while of this game left. I certainly do want to finish these games. And I might make 1 or 2 more, or I might not. We will see. I think sort of having some problems with my foot as well. I need to choose different socks next time. I'm wearing some hand knit socks, not hand spun, but hand knit, and they're actually pretty rough, and including on the heel, and the heel is having some problems. And the last thing on earth I want is a pressure injury on my heel, so I'm trying to be careful with that. But it's not very easy. So probably need to switch legs a little more often and stop wearing these socks. That is my guess. I don't know why they're so scratchy, but they're seriously incredibly scratchy. You would be cool with more wool? I mean, I would too, but the main thing is I want to finish this blanket, and that will not happen if I take more wool interludes than I do cotton. So I'm sort of having to make rules for myself, or else I know I will not actually do what I want to do. So I definitely made more than you. I do feel like I've made a literal mountain of these things. You're still using sticks. You tried to copy what I do and couldn't do it yet. Interesting. What's not working? Out of curiosity. Last one. Yeah, I forgot how much cotton I get in my nose when I do this. It's a little bit more of an issue now than it was when I first started spinning this stuff because of the septum piercing that I got recently. And what I don't want to happen is like for me to, start trying to clean the piercing and realize that I have a whole bunch of cotton fibers wrapped around it. But I have a feeling that may happen at some point anyway. If I could speak loud enough while wearing a mask to be heard, and like if it didn't muffle my voice so much, I would probably do it. I'd probably be wearing a mask while recording, but I did try it and I like recorded just to see what it sounded like when I was first starting. Because I was thinking like maybe I could show my face, but just have a mask on and you wouldn't be able to see much. But yeah, you can't hear a thing, so it's just way too muffled. But it would really help with the cotton fiber. Like the cotton fiber in the neck. It would help with that. And I suppose cotton fiber in the lung thing too would help with that as well. Although I'm not exactly feeling the effects of that yet. So. The whole thing falls apart when you try to roll it up, but you're rearranging not gent cotton. Oh yeah, I bet that's probably why. I haven't tried like rolling it without knitting needles with the chrome top stuff. I haven't tried it, but I wouldn't be shocked if it was way more difficult because the chrome top really doesn't stick to itself. That said, I was thinking about it earlier on another stream, and I wonder if steaming the chromed top and then working with it would help at all. Because steaming resets the crimp in the fibers, right? Or at least it does with wool, and I assume it would with cotton as well. And so all of the crimp that has been basically stretched out during the machine process of trimming the top, that should theoretically sort of fix itself. I haven't tried it, but I've seen some experiments that one of my FiberArts friends did, where, what exactly did she do? I think she tried like steaming parts of braids and then just spinning them as is, and you could see that the braids that were steamed puffed up a ton and they spun up quite differently, whereas the ones that weren't steamed behaved, a little bit limp, a little bit like rubbing sometimes does. And there was a big difference. So I'm really curious if that would be the case with wool or with cotton too. I can't imagine why it wouldn't be. I might have to try that. It would be cool if there was a good way to turn cotton roving into, because like that is the kind that most people have, into something that's a bit easier to spin. If I remember to try it, I think I will. All right. That's all of that. And we even got one row done. That makes sense. You might try it. Cool. If you do, let me know what happens. I'm really curious. You have a steamer you use to heat set your acid dyed stuff. Oh, nice. Well, that's convenient then. I don't have a very good setup for steaming yarn, which is why I haven't done it. But yeah, if you have a good setup and you do try it, I'm very curious to know what your results are. I was considering carding some more, but my back really hurts. So I think we're gonna call it here and try and just stick my back. And hopefully be back tomorrow. If not, hopefully Sunday. But yeah, thanks for hanging out. As always, it was very fun. Really enjoy my streams. Very excited to see how the wool turns out. And then we got the entire first row done of the cotton. So I think that's pretty good for 1 hour's worth. That's pretty good work. I can probably find a steamer at a thrift stop, to be honest, or a thrift shop. I do have, that's the thing, I have a steamer. I don't have any good pots and pans to put them in. And I also haven't figured out a good way to do it where I don't have to hold the yarn, and that really hurts. So I don't know. Definitely, it's a work in progress for me. I have to do some more things to figure it out. Yeah, thanks for joining and for chatting as always. Very enjoyable. Chuck will be relieved because she wants her fish. So yeah, I'll catch you another time. I hope you have a good night and thanks for hanging out.